Hello everyone, in this video I'll be doing a review of Lords of the Fallen 2023, which is a sequel to the 2014 game, and it has received many mixed reviews, and I'm here to set the record straight on if this game's worth your time or not. So, I'm someone who's been playing a lot of different Souls-like games, and this is the latest one coming out in October 2023. I beat the game already, and I'm on my new game plus now. I gotta say, this game is extremely difficult at times. There is not only just difficult enemies, but sometimes the game works against you with massive frame rate drops. So this is something that happened, especially during one boss, and I've been getting lots of comments saying that they've experienced the same thing, where the boss, it completely drops about 10 frames per second during the most intense attacks that it has, and your character ends up dead after that. So there is some frustrations to be had. Now, I will show off a bit of the combat. You can use, what I like about the combat is you can easily switch between your dual wielding or your two-handing weapon, and it actually is pretty intuitive. So dual wielding's better for whenever you got multiple targets to deal with, but two-handing a weapon is best if you're doing it one-on-one like here. So, as you can see, the dodging is very generous in this game. It actually has a large amount of frames, and you can do a dodge roll or a dodge slide, as you saw there. There's mage characters that are literal snipers, and if the game wasn't modified, they had some that would legitimately snipe you to death at certain parts. There has been many patches coming out that help with this, and that's really nice that they've been listening to some of the complaints that have been had, but I still find that there is a lot of really difficult spots in this game that just don't really have much going for them. So, I'm on New Game Plus. I made it to the first boss, and it one-shots my character for some reason. I don't think I'd have enough vigor. As you can see there, I did a dodge slide. You can just slide, or if you double tap it, you do the roll for a larger distance. I really like this. This is one of my favorite things about the game, is the dodging feels really nice. Coming from Lies of P, where dodge rolling is not that good, it's good to see it be improved in this game. But the only downside is, if you don't hit a dodge perfectly, it oftentimes ends up killing your character. So there is a lot of enemies here that have really good attacks that are incredibly strong and will one-shot your character. There was one boss that took me many hours to beat. The reason it took so long is the fact that if you messed up one even part of the boss fight, it would one-shot you and you'd be instantly dead. So the attempts were taking 12-14 minutes to complete, and after 14 minutes of playing a boss perfectly and dodging every attack, getting hit by one attack and losing it all is incredibly frustrating. Now, that boss did have multiple one-hit attacks. It's a spurned progeny if you played this game. Brutal. But there's been a lot of other bosses that just felt like artificial difficulty to my character, so I find that the difficulty feels a bit harsh against the character. That is kind of with Souls-like games, they're meant to be difficult, but this game went over the top with it, I find. It just was a big no for me at certain points. And that's just talking about single enemies. The issue with this game, personally, is the fact that there's like 10 plus enemies on screen at any given time, especially if you go into the kind of the gimmick world, the Umbral. So this game's unique atmosphere. You can switch into the Umbral world. As you notice, my health got decreased to about half there, with what they call Wither taking up the other half, where you have to deal damage to get it back. This is something that you see in Bloodborne. It's also in Lies of P, but I think those games did it much better. Bloodborne, every single attack takes you down here, but with this, you have to deal damage or else you lose that health. And it is incredibly frustrating to go through and have a bunch of your health just chunked down, especially because you have to go into the Umbral at a lot of points in this game. So that was a frustration for me, but you're going to see little Umbral zombies pop up eventually. It's just part of the game, but one thing that frustrated me with the zombie enemies is that they take around 2 hits to kill at the start of the game, and then later on in the game they start to take 4 hits. Like, you don't feel like you're getting any stronger. The enemies just have health that scales up way too much. Not to mention, when you get to the end game, the only enemies that you encounter are previous bosses. So that is completely just, it's brutal to deal with, but I can see why they wanted to do it that way. It just feels like a lack of creativity when there's games like Elden Ring with like 200 plus bosses that are most of them unique. This game just recycling the same like 20 enemies kind of gets frustrating. You can emerge from the Umbral too, which is nice. You kind of bounce between these two worlds. As part of the story, it is cool. I think that feature is the best part of this game. The combat itself, it feels fluid at times, but like you can see, my character jumps forward when it attacks. That gets really frustrating. It feels like you're literally on ice skates. Like, you slide forward so much. I'm not Like, I won't even touch the movement. Your character just slides forwards. So that makes the combat feel a little bit, I don't know, like you're skating on ice, as I said, and I don't really like that much. One thing that the combat does well is there's good variety of weapons. Like, I got a lot of different ones here. They're pretty cool, not gonna lie. Like, some of these weapons are really nice. There's some that are just overpowered, like Pieta's sword that you get at the start of the game. You can be used throughout the whole game. And there's a lot of other weapons that are they're interesting. I think the weapons are cool, but just they don't feel that strong, to be honest. You can also go with you have a lot of ranged options in this game. Like, there's bows, crossbows. You can use catalysts, or you can throw items. I think my personal favorite was throwing items, just because they made the game a lot easier. The enhanced bloody hatchet here can stun lock some bosses, which takes them from being extremely difficult to being really easy. I think the armor itself is pretty cool in this game. Like, it is nice bling. You can make your character look pretty cool. There's lots of different funny sets of armor. Like, you can have yourself with a monkey skull there, or I like the bell. But there's a lot of interesting items. There's consumable heals. This is your classic flasks. Lots of different items. There's lots of like salts that you can apply to your weapons. I think the items are decent, but overall level design is probably good to like a 6 out of 10. The fighting, it does feel good at times, but then you get to a boss that'll one-hit you in like one cheap shot, and it just feels so broken. So the combat on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably give it like a 6, around there. I liked it a lot until I was getting to some boss that, again, just completely, no matter what you do, you play perfect and you still end up dying. I think you're supposed to level your health up a lot in this game. I just didn't do that because, I don't know, I didn't feel like doing it, and I paid the price for it when I was doing a boss and it ended up killing me. But there is some fun moments. But we had another really great Souls-like game release this year with Lies of P, and I played the crap out of that twice. I beat the New Game Plus as well, and I really enjoyed my time playing that game. This game, already New Game Plus, feels like a complete chore. I haven't had any fun, and they remove all the vestiges, which are like your spawn points in New Game Plus. Now, they did say that they will be adding this back in a patch, but I started a new game and didn't have any, and the patch was supposed to be live now, so I don't know. I've been experiencing lots of bugs. I did have videos of some bugs, but I deleted them because I was just like, this is a waste. I don't even want to talk about how buggy this game is, but I had a lot of different enemies just floating in spots. I fell through the world a couple times. Like, there was, you know, games do have bugs, but I think this game had a lot more bugs than some other ones. So there's just a lot of things in Lords of the Fallen that kind of held it back from being like a really great game overall. I was thinking, like, at the start, about halfway, I was giving it like an 8 out of 10 in my mind, but overall, Lords of the Fallen 2023, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably give this game a 6.5. I feel like that's being generous. 6 to a 7, somewhere in that range. Like, it's a decent Souls-like game. I just feel like there was so much more they could have done, and just balancing could have been a lot better. Less enemies on screen, and just overall the performance is something I didn't really talk too much about. But I have a Ti NVIDIA GeForce 3060 Ti. It runs games smoothly. Lies of P was an absolute blast. It was optimized very well for PC. This game, not so much. Consistently, like, I got 60 frames right now, but the moment an enemy pops on screen, it's going down to 30 frames. And if there's multiple enemies, I'm getting like 20. It's just really weird that we had a game that was perfectly optimized on PC, and now we have this, which is just not very well optimized. There's a whole lot more I could say about the performance, but yeah, probably a 6 to a 7 out of 10 for Lords of the Fallen 2023. That's just my review, though. I'm curious what you think, so please leave a comment below with what you think of Lords of the Fallen, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.